Thank you. Please be seated. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the May 6, 2024 meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Biggs,
Second.
second by Mr. Harmon. Any discussion or questions on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Next up, we have grievances and comments from citizens. So this is kind of a weird agenda tonight. We do have several public hearings tonight, so if you're here to speak on any of those public hearings, we do have cards that you can fill out. We will call you up for those specific topics at the time. If you're here just to talk about anything in general, we still ask you to fill out a card. If you didn't fill one out right now, we can get you one, but it's up to you. This is a chance to come speak on any particular topic, whether it's on the agenda tonight or not. Staff will make notes and get back with you if it's something that we don't cover in tonight's meeting. Is there anyone here? Do we have any cards, staff? Was there anyone here to speak particular? Man, this many people in no speed. Let's go. All right. It's Sheriff's Department report. Lieutenant.
By the way, he said he don't normally speak in this large a crowd.
Don't get scared, Lieutenant.
Good evening, City of Arlington. Lieutenant Brad West, Sherman County Sheriff's Office. Anybody get a ticket recently?
You didn't know you were coming to court.
We'll go to page 2. Looks like the bulk of our crime has been below Highway 70, above Interstate 40. Nothing violent in nature. Turn to the next page. We have one burglary of business, burglary of residential, and the rest of them are motor vehicle thefts and theft from motor vehicles, parts and accessories. You turn to the next page. All breakdown. Notice that not anything violent in there. There's only 20 crimes total. Back to the track crimes, next page. For May 2024, no aggravated assaults, no. So those are all. One of those vehicles was recovered, and they were.
We like short, easy crime reports.
This is a business card from Chief Morris.
Get out of jail free card? Oh, okay.
I'm gonna give this to you, so you'll have it.
Okay, thank you.
He's the new chief inspector for patrol division. Chief Elliott went to courts.
Oh, did he? Okay,
Morris came to us, so
okay.
that's his information if you need.
I appreciate it. You guys keep moving everybody around. Captain Masters, I just talked to her earlier, so she's still my, okay. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Or are there any questions for this? Okay. Bye, Lieutenant. Check tags on the way out. Chief Harville, Fire Department report. Everybody loves the fire department.
Hey, good evening. This will be the monthly activity report for the month of May for the Arlington Fire Department. We had a total of 113 responses, 73 were EMS, 40 were fire. We gave mutual aid 19 times, received it 7 times. We made 21 calls south of Interstate 40, 10 of those were on the interstate. 2 special calls, circumstances we made was an ammonia leak in a local manufacturing company here in town. And then we responded with mutual aid to Shelby County Fire Department with train versus truck. No major issues at all. Total 17 inspections, 2 smoke alarm checks, 5 smoke alarms installed. We're nearing the end of our fire hydrant inspections. We have a little over 300 of those remaining. We have till about June 21st to get those completed. Several updated activities, a lot of PR events. May is normally a big PR event or PR month for the Arlington Fire Department. Several in the schools, including Career Day, assisted with supporting a few of our teams that went out for state competitions, as well as assisted with the high school doing their CPR.
Well, I want to thank you because for the first time, my fifth grade daughter got to experience the spraying of the fire truck on the last day of school of fifth grade, Miss Manley. So that was quite talked about. So I haven't been able to do that from my job and spray, so it got to happen there.
Pull that off.
They asked him. I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, we know.
Any questions for Chief Harville? Thank you, Chief. And hey, same as you, if there's nothing on the agenda tonight for you, I have no, you don't have to be the fire marshal tonight. I think a lot of these people will probably leave after some of these different, no, we're good. All right, just a couple things from me. I'm gonna keep it short since we have a big agenda tonight. Mrs. Howe, do you have any chamber announcements?
Mayor and Board, so next Wednesday, the monthly chamber luncheon, and our speaker is Benjamin Oracle, and you know him as the developer for Providence Place. And then the next come swear is June 15th.
Thank you. Thank you. And for those of you in attendance who don't know, Tanya is the director of the chamber, but she's also a big asset to the town and the schools. She helps us navigate a lot of things outside of that. So when you have a room full of people, and I can brag on you, thank you, Tanya, for what you do. I don't have anything else. Mr. McKee, you want to mention the fireworks show real quick?
I can. Are you gonna be there this year?
I'll be there. But I always, this is your baby, so I'll let you.
It will be Friday, June the 28th at 6 o'clock is when the band will start and people will start coming in, and put your tents down there. Just be careful where you put your stakes. The fireworks will actually go off about 9:15 that night. We want to make sure it's good and dark, and hopefully we will have good weather. And I believe if everybody in this room comes, we'll have a packed crowd.
All right, thank you for that. There was one thing I was going to mention, and I just went completely blank on it. Oh, we don't have a planning commission, the committee reports. We don't have a planning commission meeting this month, and we don't have a board BMA meeting next month, unless something on a budget amendment or something like that. We have to call a special meeting for something, so you kind of get a little bit of your summer off, so hopefully.
Mike,
And
on committees, can I see if any of my members are here?
yes, please do.
Any of the finance committee, I know Carrie's here. Stand up, please. Carrie Parker, she is our newest member on our finance committee, and she really, she's got more knowledge about finance than I do, and she's done a really good job this year, and thank you a lot. Is there any others? Okay, thank you.
One last thing, since we won't have a meeting next month, we do have an election in August, August 1st. August for half the board and half the school board. So probably in the next couple of weeks, you will see signs start to go out, because early voting, I didn't even look at the date. The early voting will be starting July, the second week of July, roughly. And so just as everybody sees that, we've got, it's not a real, we've got one contested race on the alderman side and one contested race on the other one, but it's been fairly quiet, which is always good in politics, to see civil elections. So it's good to know, and just want to remind everybody that's coming up.
Are you going to put your hair up again this year?
Oh, for 25%?
25%?
I don't know. I don't know.
Say it now.
No. That was a November election. My hair's doing just fine on its own coming out. I don't know if I need anything else.
30% last year.
Yeah, it was 30%. Well, maybe if we get the right number right, I'll do it. No, there's not. It's leaving on its own.
It won't take them long.
Do I have a motion? We have a consent agenda with items A through H. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion to approve?
Second.
Second. Well, I guess I should ask, was there anything that anybody wanted to pull off the consent agenda before we did it? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. On to old business. Item A, Resolution 2024-19 to approve the Arlington Community Schools Board of Education operating budget. We're going to turn this over, is it Ms. Owens or Mr. Mayo, or Ms. Amy and Mr. Mayo and his staff, or whomever?
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Aldermen.
Good evening.
Get this in here just a second. We appreciate the opportunity to present our budget to you this evening for consideration for approval. One of the things that, before I go into budget highlights, I think it's important for all of you to Chairman, Mr. Scott Benjamin. Vice Chairman, Dr. Dale Yachts, over there hiding. Mr. Jonathan Dunn, who you heard lead the pledge. Ms. Law Conley, Ms. Kay Williams. Okay. Next, have members of our executive staff and principals. That's all of our glamour shots. Any of you who remember Mall of Memphis, you know that used to be a thing. Todd Beaufort, Chief of Academics. Rochelle Douglas, Chief of Accountability. Amy Sackingsley, Chief Financial Officer. Allison Clark, Chief of Human Resources. Valerie Steedman, General Counsel. Tim Rutt, Chief of Operations, he's actually out sick today. Sherry Davidson, Associate Superintendent of Principal Support. Tyler Hill, Director of Communications and Planning. Tanya Hawkins, DES Principal. Miranda Manley, DES Principal. Shannon Blackburn is the new AMS Principal. Chris Davis is the new AHS Principal. And they don't start until July 1st. They're actually already doing some things behind the scenes, but officially they don't start until July 1st. And then Diana Penny is the AHS Vice Principal. Here's some information as we close the school year just a couple weeks ago. Seems like it's been longer than that, but it's only been about 2 weeks that we closed the school year. Our enrollment as we ended was 4,588 students. You can see how that's broken down by each school. Arlington High. We also have that broken down to where you can see the number of Arlington residents and then the number of Lakeland residents that are still attending past year that we just completed. Non-residents are also listed there. Arlington Middle, the same. Arlington Elementary, same. Donaldson Elementary, same. And we have about 534 employees as of the last school year. I do want to point out that our projected enrollment for this upcoming budget year is 4,276 students. Right now, we are actually under projection at about 4,146 students. So, as you know, Lakeland is continuing to grow, build their high school. So they will be adding another grade level, a junior grade level. So that every time they add a grade level, that means those students are not coming to us. That's a net loss of students of about 200, 186 to 200. That number, 4,558, our projected enrollment reflects that reduction that we will not be having those students. The last year, as it phase out, and then the next year they'll start with the senior class, and that process will not be complete. Although I do want to remind you that we are still under an interlocal agreement with Lakeland School District, means that any Lakeland students can still come to our school district and we still provide transportation to them as long as that interlocal is in effect. So go to Lakeland, they don't like it, they can come to Arlington and we have to provide transportation for them as long as that is in effect. We do have some students who are making that transition due to sports programs, academic offerings, that because we're a larger high school, we're able to offer a lot more than what is being offered initially at Lakeland just due to sheer number. Here's some academic achievement information that I definitely want to share as part of our story. This past year, we don't have our new results yet. We should be getting those sometime over the summer before the school year starts. Number 1 in U.S. history in Shelby County, number 3 in the state. English 2, 1 in Shelby County, number 2 in Tennessee. Elementary, top 10 in all subjects. 3rd grade, number 2 in ELA, and I've got parentheses there with the new law. We had a new 3rd grade scholarship offerings. And again, that's a school record. They try to break it every year. It's going to be, oh, no, because we're going to be graduating fewer students in the future. So will those fewer students be able to maintain that or be able to break that record even higher? So that'd be advancing technology. That's a big component of our budget. We believe in having our students having the greatest technology that's available. We don't think it replaces good instruction. It's a support for good instruction, but it's necessary in this day and time that our students and our teachers are not and not on top of things as it relates. So again, as a review, part of our story, one of the first districts statewide to implement one-to-one devices in all grade levels, K-12. Led the charge with STEM for all K-12. We have STEAM designated schools, Apple distinguished schools. We have two of those, and we have two of those of the 500, the only 500 worldwide. Two of them are right here in Arlington, Tennessee. We hosted the Tennessee statewide education conference for technology. We did an integration of Canvas Learning, which is a learning platform. We moved away from Schoology because Canvas is safer and has security. Kids away from things that they don't need to be going to. You know, we have kids that know how to bypass that, of course, and we work with that. We deal with that. We work with their parents, but Canvas has helped eliminate some of those bypasses. Digital citizenship is something that, with all of these things going on, it's important that we continue to teach our students digital citizenship so they know how to properly use the tools. Career and technical program clusters, you see we have 11 of those. We have 850 plus industry certifications that were earned in the 23-24 school year. We have 2,580 plus dual enrollment college credit hours that were earned in the 23. And those of you that have students coming up from college or if you're still in high school, those dual enrollment classes are gold because you get college credit for it, and that college credit transfers to the college, and your child can probably start, if they take enough dual enrollment, as a freshman, they can start almost as a sophomore, as a freshman. So that's pretty, I think, to get the most bang for the buck. At least that was my personal experience. We try to recognize our employees. Our big program that we've had for a long time is called Plus Experience. We feel like that's authentic recognition. It's based on nominations from peers, from parents, from students, community members. When a teacher or an employee, not just a teacher, has gone above and beyond, we try to manage our district from a very customer service centered standpoint. As I've said here, like in all businesses, customer service can make or break the experience, and we highlight who's doing it right so that others will want to repeat that. Then we make Facebook famous. We shout it out from the Facebook rooftops. Award winners are celebrated internal and external communication channels. There's enough negative stuff that gets put out on Facebook, so we try to counter that with putting some really good stuff about our employees. That's one of the ways we do that recognition. Top workplace. We have been the top workplace for the past 3 years as it relates to schools. 21, 22, we were the #1
vote when we go to convention a little bit later on in November. And there will be opportunities for possibly you all to participate in that if you so choose, to talk about why public education is important to you, or why you're a product, if you're a product of public education, how public education shaped you. Our secretary, school board secretary, and my administrative assistant, Janet Gore, is also the president-elect of the Tennessee School Board's Secretaries Association. So not only do we have administrators, other administrators, we have principals, we also have classified employees who are outstanding in leadership across the state. Mr. Winkler is our technology instructional support and supervisor. He is also the regional president of the Tennessee Technology Association. Dana Biotz, who is our nurse supervisor, coordinated school health supervisor. She's also the treasurer-elect for the Tennessee Association of School Nurses.
Jeff, real fast, can we give them all a round of applause? I mean, that's.
So our theme this past school year was making connections, and these are some of the things that we tried to do to make connections, not only with our employees, but also with the community. Obviously, we have curriculum nights. We take those for granted. Those are a given in Arlington Community Schools. You'd be surprised at school districts across the state, they don't have those. So people just send their kids to school, they don't really know what's going on. But we have those intentionally so that our parents become engaged at the very beginning of the school year. Track or treat, Relay for Life, that was a combined effort with the community this year. We had over 3,000 attendees for that. ACS Homecoming Carnival, that was a first for us this year. Since it's our 10-year anniversary, we decided to do something onto that. 2,000 plus attendees this year. We have Veterans Day programs to honor our veterans each year. EPA drives, quarterly employee celebrations. We have either a food truck or a picnic or a box lunch after every quarter ends, because we think it's important that our employees are celebrated for the hard work that they do each quarter. Lead Arlington, that's something that's led by our school district. Obviously, athletic events draw a lot of people to our schools to connect with each other, with families. A nice way to be involved in the community is to attend. Best communities for music education. I think this is our 5th year to get that. Tennessee Purple Star schools. All of our schools are Tennessee Purple Star schools, indicating military friendliness to our students. We have a lot of military families that move in and out of our area, and we are a popular area for military families because we have that reputation of working with our military families. Citizens Elementary Tutoring Program, that was a joint effort, collaboration with the senior citizens. Have seniors come in and read. We have Mental Health Mondays and Health Talks podcast with the increased emphasis on the mental health of our employees and of our students, making sure that we offer those resources to our employees. Our goal is to keep our employees at work and not on medical leave because they're dealing with some type of mental health crisis. So we're trying to do some things in the meantime, and we up that every year. One of our greatest legacies during our first decade is the connections that we've sparked throughout Arlington, Shelby County. The success of our schools has spurred economic and residential growth in Arlington, and it has connected our students to people and careers and beyond Tennessee.
Time for us to go.
Sorry, I'm about halfway there. So now, building budgets for success continues. That's a little background of our story, and then now we're going to get into our budget for this year and what we have, some highlights that we've included in our budget. So first of all, this is our general fund revenue breakdown. You can see our total revenue is estimated, expected at $69,161,815. You can see the biggest part of our revenue is from TISA funding, 41.9%. our kids may show up on first day of school and say, we didn't know. And so then we have to find a place for them and find teachers for them. That happens. Those are the other more minor areas of revenue. You'll notice on our general fund projected expenses, that number down at the bottom, it matches the expected revenues to balance budget that we're presenting. You can see regular education, that's 46%. That's primarily personnel. That's the biggest investment that you make in your budget. Usually it's more than that, and typically it runs around anywhere from 50 to 60%, lower than that with our staffing the way that we try to do. Here's an overview of all the expenses, and you can see that bottom line matches the expenditures and revenues. That's just an overall of every department, how all that adds up to be that particular amount. You all have that in your information. Here's another big bucket area. This is where all of our teachers lie in the budget. Regular education, certainly the majority of our teachers. We have some special ed teachers that are not in this budget. A few other positions that are not in this budget. But this is the big bucket for teachers. You can see next year we budgeted 246 teachers. Last year we had 251. Year before that we had 250. We are down a few teachers, but we did have to absorb a few teachers as a result of the ESSER money playing out for the purpose of using it for staff. Special education, that tells you the number of teachers we'll have as opposed to 27 next year, and no one lost their job as a result of these reduced numbers. Either retirement, resignations. Career and technical, we have 13 career and technical things we had last year. Those are the teaching programs where students are gaining. Safety, as you know, is a big concern for all school districts, certainly ours. We did some things this year. When we did the fine arts renovation, we added the security vestibule at the entrance of the high school, so now people can't just walk in the rotunda. They have to go through that process. That was the only school that still lacked that, and quite honestly, that was something that bothered me. So when we got ready to do the fine arts, that was an add-on that we did to that project to make. We have two officers, school safety officers that we hire, that we employ for our own. We have SROs that are provided, two at the high school and one at the middle school. Nutrition fund revenue, that's another big bucket. I think we have a revenue in there of $2.5 million. This is a self-sufficient fund. It cannot be used for anything other than nutrition related. You can pay salaries of nutrition workers out of it. You can buy kitchen equipment, buy cafeteria tables, because that's considered furniture, not equipment. You can't redo the floors in the cafeteria because that's not equipment. You can buy stoves, you can buy refrigerators, you can buy generators, you can buy things of that nature to upgrade the kitchen. We've done some of that. We also paid for field trip lunches. We paid for senior picnic lunches. Anything as long as it has the nutritional value that's required by USDA, we're able to use that money and try to spend that down. That's really positions or teacher assistants and some of the other areas, they may have 4 or 5 steps. So if you're an instructional supervisor at district office and you're on step 2, you're going to go to step 3 and get a 7.99% and 2%. So you're really going to get a 10% raise too. But if you're already on step 4, that's the highest step, then you're not going to get the 10%. You'll be getting the 7. Higher than they've ever received before. And part of the rationale for that is you can't raise one level of group of employees and not raise the other, because then you run out of people that you're incentivizing to move into administrative positions. If you're going to make more money as a teacher, then there's no incentive for you to move and work to become more. In 24, 25, as part of our ongoing focus that I mentioned earlier on employee mental health, we are instituting a mental health day. This will provide all eligible employees with an additional day that can be used procedurally, like a personal day. Longevity bonus. This is something that's new this year. This will be awarded to those employees with 10 years of ACS service and will continue with every 5-year milestone, 15, 20, 30, and if you're like me, after 30, you're done. You don't get anything else. Paid upon your return the next school year, so September 15th. That's strategic because we finished our 10th year this year. So you likely could get your 10-year bonus in May, your longevity bonus, but we're not going to give it to you unless you come back. And we're giving it to you on September 15th, because by September 15th, you've all decided if you don't like school, you come back, oh, I shouldn't come back, I should have retired, or whatever. But by September 15th, people are pretty leveled out. We're going to stay with it, so we feel comfortable by then giving them their longevity bonus. So that's new next year. Some other perks that we're continuing is all certified employees get 2 personal days, classified employees get 1 personal day. Everybody will get an extra personal day if they're at their highest step or moving to their highest step, in addition to that mental health day I mentioned. December 15th, all employees will receive a bonus similar to what they've received in the past. Coaching stipends will also incrementally increase as a result of the new salary configuration. Our coaching stipends are based on a percentage of your salary. So if you're a head football coach and you're at step 10 on the teacher salary, then you're going to get, remember that went up by 10%. So then you're going to get 19% of your salary as a head football coach, which also it's going to be based on that new salary, not last year's salary. So you're getting a 10% raise and you're getting a 10% coaching increase as a result of that, without us even having to adjust that. So I feel really good about that. If that's not enough, then people have to go coach somewhere else. Continued incentive stipend pay for substitute teachers. We did this during COVID to increase our fill rate. That's a morale issue. If a teacher has to give up their planning period every day to go cover somebody else's class, then that people don't like to do that. They don't like to give up their planning time. So we created incentive pay. We will be doing that again next year. Obviously, Mondays and Fridays are bigger incentivized days because those are the days that we have the highest absentees from employees. So that will continue. We'll also, I mentioned earlier, continue our quarterly employee celebrations. Medical benefits, I don't know what that is because it used to have numbers on it, but I will tell you that we had a 2% increase in our medical benefits this year. Last year, we had no increase. The year before that, we had a 6% increase. The year before that, 16.9% increase. The year before that, 12.7% increase. So anyway, basically what that chart shows was that if you're a single person getting medical insurance with this 2% increase, it's probably going to cost you like $3 or $4 more per pay period because of that increase. You're getting it. Most employees, a lot of employees are getting, there it is. Well, take me back to that. You want me to start over?
We got it. It's on our phone.
There it is. Okay, so if you're an employee and you only cover yourself, your insurance is going to go up $1.86 ELL teacher, expensive, nurse, expensive, 2 education assistants, and 2 central office clerical positions. I have refresh for first, fifth, and ninth graders. That's every year. It's taken for granted, but it's a big investment. It's something that we have to do every year in order to stay of the art with our technology. Our legacy grant continues. That was a new grant that we put in place last year, $500,000 we budgeted mainly for clubs and organizations that don't have a booster group, and they want to take kids on unusual experiences. Like one that comes to mind is Model UN. That's a really expensive thing to have students participate in. And in the past, we may have sent 1 or 2 kids. I think this year, legacy grant, we were able to pay for all that for students to have those experiences. We chartered buses for our softball and baseball team as they went to state, because obviously they didn't plan for that. You know, they should. They didn't plan for that. So we picked up the tab for that through the legacy grant. Anyway, that will continue next year, and people have done all kinds of things from STEM equipment to like some of the things I just mentioned. We've done some things with, we paid for music in the parks, trips for our orchestra students. So it's an opportunity for people to apply for it, and not everybody that applies gets it. We look at it, look at the value. We ask them for their fund balance. If they got money to pay for it, we say, okay, what are you doing with this money? This money is supposed to be spent on these students. So until you spend this money, we don't have legacy money for you. We will also have a K through 12 textbook adoption. That'll be electronic this year that we have to budget for. Given all fine arts programs additional funds in this budget. They always get funds, but we're giving more of that since we've just made this investment, $8.5 million investment in our Fine Arts Center. We are also adding, we have 1 paid student internship in communication. Right now, we'll be adding 2, so we'll have 2 of those, and they're actually out doing some really great work. They're going to ball games. Tyler can't go everywhere, so these students will be assigned to go cover some things, and then under his supervision, they write stories, they take pictures, he approves it, they post it on social media. Gives them some great experience. These are students that want to pursue that as a field of study when they graduate. We also had to include in this budget startup funds for TSSAA sports, lacrosse, and girls flag football. We knew about lacrosse. We've been hearing lacrosse is coming for 3 years. We've been planning on it. We found out about flag football like a month before our budget started. So we don't know how that went through so quickly. You know, my thought on that is, you know, somebody's in somebody's Sunday school class wanted flag football, and whoever was sitting on the board at TSSAA voted for it, got it out there, and now it's done. So we have to fund it. We do have a coach for that already, so we think we'll have interest from off-season girls sports to play that. So again, another opportunity for our students. We are including in this budget new cafeteria tables and orchestra chairs at AMS, new lab stools in all of our labs at AHS. That's quite expensive. We also have continued commitment with the Lakeland situation, and what that means is our school board from day 1, when Lakeland announced that they were building a high school, the commitment was we will not lay off teachers. We will figure this out. They gave me the permission to go over and talk to the high school teachers and say, look, don't worry, go teach, let me figure this out. You all teach, you don't have to worry about your job. So far, that's worked out beautifully. We have 9 positions this past school year that, for whatever reason, if somebody left, if it was at a good breaking point, a semester or end of a quarter, we would look at the numbers. If we didn't need the position, we didn't fill a position, we dispersed the kids. And we saved about 8 or 9 positions last year by doing that. We do that so that we can phase out those positions through attrition and, again, keep us from having to lay off teachers. Lastly, we have about 50 positions that we're funding above the TISA allotment that we're getting for the. We also have some campus investments, softball locker room. A lot of these are on our CIP plan. budget for those. Those things are not, you know, the sexy things in the budget, but those are the necessary things. If we don't put in the budget, that can be very problematic. The roofing project will be over a 2 to 3 year period. Each year, the roof is like we allocated like $1.5 million for this year, $1.5 million already for next year, and probably a little bit more the next year just to take care of the high school roof. That's one roof for one building. Covered walkways at AES and DS, we added those a couple of years ago, but these two principals right here like them so much, they asked for more. And all the principals got everything they asked for on their wish list. And they're gonna be extending those walkways so that they can make dismissal and arrival a little bit more efficient, especially on inclement weather days. More security cameras. Every year we add more security cameras. Our principals will also tell us about some blind spots in their building. We immediately get on those so that there's no blind spots that we know about. Access points for AES, DES. Done all of that to so that a group of students are outside playing on the playground. They don't have to walk all the way around to the front of the building to get in. They have door access immediately where in their location proximity. We also were adding generator power to the school. That one kind of got messed up. Generator power added to schools, allowing internet phone lines to stay active during power outages. We also have LED hallway lighting. If you've seen our fields, our lighting is unbelievable. It's more expensive on the front end, but it's more efficient in the long run. We were at the state baseball tournament a couple weeks ago, and they were hosting the state tournament, and our lighting was far superior to that on our field. We talked about it while we were there. So anyway, that gives us those LED hallway upgrades. Restriping the parking lots, you know, those sound minimal, but have to be done. Aesthetic entry gates will be added throughout the sports complex, including each field. What that's going to look like will be like some kind of brick base on each side, and then there will be a big arch denoting what field that is, made out of metal. And the cool thing about this is our welding students will be making that piece go into the foundational things that we'll either build or we'll contract that out to be built. Those are some investments in our campuses. You can see more of that on our website under our CIP reports. And those are budget highlights, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time. And the board members can answer questions, and Ms. Atkins, the CFO, is the person that has all the answers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo, for that presentation. I realize that you're no different than our preachers in the back of the room. You give you an audience, and you're going to take advantage of it. Yes, I remember Lowe's.
One of her famous sayings was, "Give me a stage and I can dance."
There you go. But it was great information. I'm just kidding
I
with you.
tried to talk the mayor into letting y'all go last so you could stay through our whole meeting, but he wouldn't go that way.
Well, thank you. I guess you've heard the recommendation by Mr. Mayo. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McKee, Mr. Biggs. Discussion or questions?
I'll say something.
Please speak in the microphone. That way everybody can hear you.
My wife just retired from teaching 2 years ago, so I know how precious summertime is. I greatly appreciate your willingness to come up here tonight, summer vacation. So I've had 2 kids. I'm speaking to the teachers, but I had 2 kids go through this school system. One of them is in PA school right now. I'm very proud of her. And the other one is T, and studying to be an electrical engineer. And so they got their start here, and I'm very, very proud of that, and very, very appreciative of the job that the teachers do. As a husband of somebody who taught for 30 years, I know the late nights. I know, some of where you don't get credit. It used to frustrate me so much when I was waiting on my wife to watch TV with me. And, she's working on something, you know, late at night, 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and I would say, what are you doing? And she was a kindergarten teacher, that's how she graduated from kindergarten, I'm like, what are you doing? And it used to frustrate me because so many times, it wasn't anything to do with educating the child. It was some other bureaucratic state requirement, district requirement, whatever it was. And it used to frustrate me, but, so I greatly appreciate, what you guys do as teachers. And if it were up to me, I would want you to have a bigger than what you got, because I know that you deserve it. And I would encourage our school board members, our superintendent, in that area to make sure that we stay ahead of the game and that we are the destination, for the best teachers and that we're able to retain the best teachers here. And so I wanted to say that first. Second thing, I do have a question. I do appreciate the presentation. It was long, but I do appreciate it. I think last year was the first year that we did not, that it was on the consent agenda. We didn't get this presentation. I, every year, look forward to this because it was my opportunity to ask Ms. Mason at the time, or you in the future and now, the questions that I had about the budget. I did have one question, something I learned tonight. So the agreement with Lakeland, next year they're gonna have 12th grade, right? Not this coming year, but you're following that, they're gonna have 12th grade. Does it run out? So even if they have all 12 grades, the busing, we would be going to Lakeland to pick up kids.
If we have kids that enroll and want transportation.
But
I don't think that's what he's, I think he's asking, does it go away? Isn't that what you're asking?
Okay.
Does not.
So agreements in place, it doesn't go away.
So do our kids, kid lives here and they wanna go to Lakeland, do they come over here and pick them up?
So is it gonna go away voluntarily? That was what I was wondering. It's not?
Somebody has to break the agreement.
Okay.
And we have not broken the agreement because, nothing changed for us.
Okay.
The original, interlocal agreement is still in place as it was written, as it was planned. When we all first became a school district, we were Lakeland's solution. They only had an elementary school. In order to be a school district on their own standing, they have to have a K-12 solution. We provided their 6 through 12 solution through the interlocal agreement. And that interlocal agreement still exists unless we break it or they break it. Now, they still have to pay, obviously they pay us for those students coming here. And if they have students that want to come to our district instead of going to Lakeland, then we get their TISA funding for that. So that helps pay for it. It's not free. We get the money for that kid. Now, Lakeland wasn't in a position really to break the interlocal agreement. If they broke the interlocal agreement before they had a full-fledged high school, then the expectation would have been, or the hope would have been, that we would renegotiate a new interlocal agreement, but they didn't have that guarantee. So if we didn't agree to that, then they would have nowhere for the kids to go to school, and they would have to revert back to Shelby County School. They had no solution.
So I'm just thinking out loud, this is the first I've heard that part. So, once they have all 12 grades, they might decide to break it because they might choose, look, we want Lakeland kids.
And then if that happens, then a Lakeland student who wanted to attend would have to apply for non-resident application. Right now, Lakeland kids don't have to do that.
Okay.
They have a choice through the interlocal agreement.
Okay.
And I've actually talked to a parent who went to Lakeland last year, and now she's bringing her kid back to Arlington as a result of that interlocal agreement. And
Here comes the legal mind.
Frankly, that, we really didn't contemplate at the inception of the agreement, part of the problem of the interpretation. So at this point, that would end up from a Arlington standpoint.
I'm gonna say you'll figure it out when you get there, if you ever do.
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
that's right, other than to say that it's clear that we can still provide bus transportation into their district, whether it would be Lakeland or anybody else, frankly.
But that was put in 10 years ago when we started the school system, the local agreement was.
That's right. And that's for, right now, it only applies to high school.
That's right.
Because they pulled their, you know, when they open their middle school.
It's just high school.
Okay, it's just high school.
Because when they open their middle school, we have them take all of their K-8 students out. Because we still had a pocket of Lakeland kids that were going to Donaldson that live off Canada Road. And that was just an agreement that was carried through from how it was zoned for Shelby County. Once that happened, we said, take all your K-8 kids and we'll continue to do your 9 through 12 education.
You ready?
Can I answer your questions? Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, is Amy, can you introduce her? She's the one that put this budget together, I believe. Yeah. This is not her first.
Here is CFO,
Yeah, but she was already here.
and she's also spearheading a new payroll system.
Yeah.
We moved from Apex to Skyward, so she's been baptized by fire this year, but she's still standing and has done it well.
Yeah, thanks. Mine's going to be real quick because I got 2 or 3 home runs, I think it is. And I think Fine Arts is the #1 home run. It's just really a great-looking building, and a lot's going to happen there. And of course, CFO, I think that's a home run you got there, too. I know we're going down a little bit, but are we going to be okay on our programming? You know, we've always talked about that. We're not going to lose anything right now. Our ratio is still okay? Okay, good deal.
Just to piggyback, that was the only question I had with, I know the budget went up just slightly with projected enrollment going down, but if the enrollment drops over the next 2 years, we know usually numbers going down in the school system are concerning because it's a reflection of the school system. This is a different situation because part of the agreement is students are leaving for a new school. So I guess as programming is part of so I had that was the only question I had tonight was, as those go down, programming, how do we make, because I know we've incorporated a lot of things that we couldn't do before, like ROTC, the welding program, machining, those type programs, and those are the ones that we've been able to boast and brag about, and that's what.
Well, I will tell you, ROTC, one of our instructors did resign to take a position, same position over at Arkansas. We're not replacing that, but we still will have an ROTC program.
Not in Blocko.
Based on enrollments,
No, he didn't.
based on enrollment numbers. But, no, that's not, our plan is not, if you'll recall on the CTE slide, we still have 13 CTE teachers. That's what you have to have in order to keep those programs going.
And I think I think you have, like a teacher-student ratio, you got to, by state law, you got to do you got to at least be on an average of like 25 in a high school. You can go up to 30 or whatever, but I think you got to average. So we're still staying pretty close to what we normally are.
We're very far below the state average.
Good.
And that's one of the benefits of not laying off teachers that our teachers will have for a while until all of that catches up, and then we'll probably be more in alignment. I think our middle school, 6th grade has a different ratio from 7th and 8th. 6th grade is like at a 23-to-1 ratio. 7th grade is a 27. And we don't, by state law, you're supposed to do, the law provides that you have to do a grade level average.
Average, that's right.
We don't do average, we do grade level.
Okay.
Staffing so that it's all equal. Kindergarten is anywhere from maybe 18, I'm 17, depending on projections and enrollment. High school usually hovers around 23. That doesn't include CTE factored into that. When you factor CTE in, you're probably.
So as long as you're doing that, though, you're pretty close to, your programming is gonna be okay then, yeah. And the other one I had was, and you told a good bit about it, that, you know, and I remember exactly when y'all put this in last year. I think, well, I don't know if I heard it at the chamber lunch or whatever, but it was the student activity grants. Man, that's a home run there. Did you use most of it? When is y'all's budget up? June the 30th. Did you use most of it, or are you carrying some over?
What was the final amount? About 320.
About 320 of the 500?
320,000 left.
And you had about 500? Used. Yeah, I think you had 500 in last year, and you got to, yeah. And the only other thing I've got, you know, and I want, you know, I know why everybody's here, you know, we're not dumb, okay? Look, I have not heard one negative thing about a teacher raise from this board anytime. Nothing but positive. About half the teachers in here I know, and I've talked to them, and I was just, you know, unbelievable when somebody said, are we going to get a raise or not get a raise? Well, sure you're going to get a raise. Y'all do the budget. We don't do line items. So set your mind at ease as far as I'm concerned. Now, if you know, these other guys may not feel the same way I do. But no, I think this raise is way overdue. And look, now I got to go into, just for a second, we have a town that we have to take care of our employees too. Remember that. So, y'all, I know y'all setting it high, so, you know, don't handcuff us. But anyway, I think it's great. That's all I got.
Questions down here? Comments?
I was just gonna say, I was looking around the room, and I think I spotted 4 teachers in here that have taught my kids, and I'll have a senior this year and a junior and one in middle school, and I didn't realize 7 o'clock was late though, Jeremy, but.
7 o'clock, yeah, what's up with you?
But, you know.
You'll be asleep in 15 minutes.
I'm glad, and just like Jeremy and my dad said, that thankful for the raises that y'all are getting. Biden has wiped out most of that, but thankful that y'all can get those raises and supply for your families and do the things that y'all need to do. And I'm thankful to Mr. Mayo and the staff for getting out ahead a couple of years ahead of time, because it's only going to attract the school. And we've got a great town. We've got a great school system that we should all be proud of and support and be glad of. One thing that I saw in there were a couple of questions that have been answered, but one thing that I'm excited about, maybe the only person, but Tyler and I had this conversation a while back, but the entry gates into the sports program, just starting to change the scope and the focus as visitors come into our schools and to our sports programs and walk in, and you know, it's just going to enhance that and give so much more of a positive thing. And the investment you are putting in the sports programs all around that you've done in baseball, the bleachers are great, the softball fields that are getting that, the football stuff I didn't even know about. So all those things that are parent and fan enjoyment and visitors as they come, and you know, they may reconsider and think about coming to Arlington instead of another school system that their kids are at right now. So I think those things are always important to do. And so I saw that on there, and I'm really excited about that. That may be an odd thing to be really excited about, but thank you guys for investing in that, because yeah. So,
Well,
sport, like they say, sports are front porch to our schools and college, but it's also the same thing in high schools and elementary schools.
Well, I'm going to say something because I can usually look at the eyes of the other board members and know, since 3 of them talk, then the other 3 feel like they have to talk because everybody loves our teachers. Nobody wants to leave out here. So I'm going to say it for the remaining people that haven't talked. We all feel the same. And we're glad you guys come. You guys are welcome to come to any meeting that you want. We're glad you're here. And just so you know, to Jeremy's point, since we don't want to keep any of y'all up any later, then when we vote on this resolution, even though we have other budgetary stuff, when we vote on this, that means it's approved. Don't feel like you have to stay around for the next 2 or 3 or 4 items on the agenda to get to that budget. Go home, be with your families, do all that. Thank you for being here. So are there any more comments or questions?
The only comment I got,
Real quick.
No, you're not quick, so hurry up.
He's right. It's nice to be a part of something like this where we can do something for the teachers. For so many years, I've seen teachers, city employees, fire, police, you know, you scrape and scrape trying to get a raise to support your families, it's really nice to be in a town that appreciates what has made the town great. And y'all are part of what's making this town great. So the raises or whatever we can do for the employees, I'm all for. And I have a personal interest. When I left Bartlett, come out here, it was because I wanted my two kids in Arlington High School. And they received the greatest education that they could have gotten. Scholarships, I saw it work. I saw the work that y'all did, and I highly appreciate it. And to this day, my son and daughter, I now have a Dr. Matthew and a Dr. McKenzie. Thank you.
We good? Thank you, Larry. All right. Any other comments?
Tell them
Harry.
for the two teams that went to the state tournament.
Harry, wait, baseball and softball,
No,
what?
I get my 3 minutes.
You, sometimes these become amplified because everybody wants to say something good, but we all, I mean, there's nothing bad coming out of any of these mouths, so just know that we all love you all, and thank you for the job that you do. Are there any other comments that are necessary before, so we can get these people home? All right, everybody, all in favor of the, I am. I already told them they could leave. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Thank you all for being here. Don't. Y'all go. Y'all, that means when we vote on the budget here a little bit, that's already in there. Y'all go. Y'all go.
Yeah, can we take a?
You're welcome to stay, but it's going to be a long meeting.
Yeah, hey, just file out with them, and they may not notice you.
We do get lonely here. I don't want to go home too.
Maybe Kimley Horn. Oh. All right. Brittany, we're just going to go ahead and let you get started so we can keep this thing moving. Are you going through the whole presentation again? All right. You can make this. This is a second reading. We can roll.
So,
All right.
you ready?
Let me read this. This is item B, second and final reading of ordinance 2024-05 to amend and readopt the Town of Arlington, Tennessee sewer use ordinance in compliance with the national pretreatment regulations. Mrs. Owens.
Yes,
We do
sir.
have a public hearing on this.
This is a second and final reading. It did just make some minor changes to our sewer use ordinance, and staff's available to answer any questions that you may have, and we do have a public hearing.
All right. You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. McKee. We have a public hearing, so do I have a motion to suspend and open the public hearing? Motion by Vice Mayor McKee. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Biggs. Any objection to that? We are now in the public hearing for the second and final reading of ordinance 2024-05 to amend and readopt the Town of Arlington sewer ordinance. This was published in the Daily News on May 14th. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this particular request, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Is anyone here to speak on this particular request? Do we have any cards? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing and resume the meeting? Motion by Vice Mayor Keys, second by Mr. Biggs. Any discussion or questions for staff? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Item C, second and final reading of ordinance 2024-06 2024-06 to transfer money out of committed fund balance in order to cover the transaction for purchase of the land from the state of Tennessee. We do have a public hearing on this. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. This is your second and final reading. This is to transfer $4 million from a committed fund balance into your undesignated fund balance to cover the purchase of 353 acres that we got from the state of Tennessee. The cash transaction has already happened, so this is just an accounting formality, and staff recommends approval.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Biggs. We do have a public hearing, so do I have a motion to suspend the meeting and open the public hearing? Motion by Vice Mayor McKee, second by Mr. Harmon. We are now in the public hearing for the second and final reading of ordinance 2024-06. This was advertised in the Daily News. Is anyone here to speak on this particular topic for this public hearing? If so, please come forward. Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing and resume the meeting? Motion by Vice Mayor McKee, second by Mr. Biggs. We're back on the main motion. Any discussion or questions?
You sound like an auctioneer.
I'm trying to make up for lost time.
We got a system going. Keep
I know.
going.
Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, that item passes. We are now on item D, second and final reading of ordinance 2024-07, adopting the annual budget, board compensation, and property tax levy for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2025. We do have a public hearing on this also. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. So I did my full budget presentation last month. I'll be happy to answer any questions. But I do, since we do have some staff present here that wasn't here last month, I do just want to hit some highlights real quick. For the public, the tax rate's going to remain the same at $1.28. It is reappraisal year, so that will start in January. We will have to recalculate our certified tax rate next budget cycle. For the staff that's here, we do have, this budget does have increases, and it also has extra employee benefits across the board. It's not as large raises as the schools, but there is things that we're trying to do really hard to make the town as competitive as well. So staff recommends approval, and I'm available for any questions.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Biggs, second by Mr. Harmon. Now we have a public hearing, so I have a motion to suspend and open the public hearing. Motion by Vice Mayor McKee, second by Mr. Brooks. Anyone here to speak on this particular topic, the public hearing for the budget? This was published in the Daily Memphian. We're on the public hearing for ordinance 2024-07. Anyone here? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close and resume the meeting? Motion by Vice Mayor McKee, second by Mr. Brooks. See, I told you I could make up a little bit of time. Back on the main motion for the budget. We do have staff here. Thank you, staff, for being here. I know it was kind of a long meeting to sit through already, and some of you may have to sit here a little longer. I'm not sure. If you're not obligated to, after we're done with this, you have my permission to slide out. No different than the teachers. Go do what you got to do. But unless you need to be here for something else on the agenda. Questions about the budget? This is the second and final reading, so hopefully everybody's, Mrs. Owens, thank you. Thank you to our finance committee. I know it's always a lot of work. This is your, like I've always said, your Super Bowl. You've done a great job, and I think we're in a good spot. And
One thing I just want to mention, we just paid our final payment on your first sewer loan. So
That's
that
awesome.
is paid off.
Russell's.
It's, 2020, or I'm sorry, 2002. So that's paid off. It was paid last week, so
it's great.
It wasn't 2012 either.
it's 2002.
2004.
2002.
Was it 3 or 4?
2.
2002.
2.
It was 2002.
Oh, you said 2. You said 2.
It's
I don't know.
2002. Yes, sir.
Oh, we're good.
He come on in 203.
Hey,
I don't know.
While they're arguing about who gets credit,
It's good. It's paid off.
It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. We don't have to talk about it.
what was each payment?
The last payment we just made was $1,023,000.
But there's a button there. Yeah, but we have to. The sewer is going to have to grow. The sewer's got to grow with the town, so that's
Sewer's gonna have to
short lived. we are making improvements now. Yes, yeah. Sorry to put a buzzkill on that, but.
All right, where are we at?
So any other questions on the budget? I mean, it's been a good budget. This has been, like Mrs. Owen said, we've added some staff positions. Last year it was more some capital and stuff. This is more employee, and then, and it's, as we've heard with the schools, and I'm not just saying this to pander to anybody, Mrs. Owens, Mrs. Durant, and I, and others have had the discussion of, same as our staff benefits, we're always looking to try to continue and improve those, and hopefully, as, I think we're trying to look at the way our salary structures are, you know, I mean, they were mentioning they're outdated ones. We're trying to look at those type things to make it more beneficial, so hopefully.
We're working a little on the benefits too.
Yeah. Other questions or comments for, you got something? No, he doesn't. He's whispering. He's telling really bad jokes. Oh. Is it about your dad? If it's so, say it in the microphone. Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Next up, second and final reading of ordinance 2024-08 to further amend the Town of Arlington, Tennessee budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. We do have a public hearing on this, too. So, Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. This is your second and final reading of your final budget amendments. Those are in front of you tonight. They were fresh off the press at 5 o'clock. It's a general cleanup of line items. Sorry, I'm trying to get through this so y'all don't have to look at it. It's a general cleanup of line items, and some of your numbers are estimated just because we still have a month left of the year, but we also have some revenues that are 30 to 60 days in arrear. So we've just taken the last 9 months and kind of got an average to be able to adopt those. So staff recommends approval, and I'm available for any questions.
You've heard the recommendation, Ms. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Biggs, second by Mr. Brooks. All right, do I have a motion to close the item and open the public hearing? Yes. Vice Mayor McKee makes the motion. Second by Mr. Harmon. We are now in the public hearing for second and final reading of ordinance 2024-08. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this particular request, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing and resume the meeting?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McKee. Second by Mr. Biggs. Back on the main motion. Any discussion or questions for staff? The good thing about second readings, for the few of y'all that are still here, I wish everybody else could hear it, is first reading is usually a little more detailed, and we go through a lot, and then we have a whole month or so in between to where a lot of questions can be asked or a lot of things can be ironed out, so it makes second readings a little easier, just for the record. Seeing no discussion, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? That item passes. All right, any other old business, Mrs. Owens? All right, on to new business. Item A. Okay. We are on to new business. Item A, Resolution 2024-20 to approve a plan development master plan for Hawthorne PD, a residential PD on 83.5 acres north of I-40, south of Summers Road, west of Airline Road. We do have a public hearing on this. And also, for anybody in attendance, we also have a public hearing on item B, which is another part. It's separate, but it's basically similar to the same plan. So just want to remind everybody. Mr. Crater.
All right.
Thank you for your patience.
No problem. All right, so the intent of a plan development overlay district is to promote and facilitate the use of flexible techniques of land development and site design by providing relief from the requirements designated for conventional developments. And the goal is to produce developments that, through better planning practices, provide a higher level of development with consideration for the conservation of natural features and rural character, while providing additional amenities and superior design and materiality. Departure from requirements of the underlying zoning district, including density, dimension, area, bulk, use, et cetera, requires specific tangible benefits to the neighborhood community and to the town of Arlington. The master development plan represents a more detailed plan of construction than the general development plan and shall apply to the phases to be initially developed and shall include all requirements set forth in the town of Arlington zoning ordinance. And the master development plan is the second step in the approval process and shall include a development agreement. So the applicant is requesting board BMA approval of a master development plan for a residential plan development containing 84.3 acres, which differs from the 66.1 acres approved as part of the general development plan. The additional 18.2 acres consists of a parcel that was approved as phase 2 of the neighboring Manor at Hall Creek subdivision, on which a large lake will be dug and dirt will be used elsewhere on the site. As with the general development plan, the proposed master development plan will consist of up to 37 townhomes, 114 stack flats, 600 lofts, and 50,000 square feet of retail, which increased from the 20,000 square feet that was approved with the general development plan. The general development plan allowed an overlay zoning of RMF, or residential multifamily, providing a max density of 12 units per acre. Applicant is proposing a total density for the master development plan of 9 dwelling units per acres for the site. The residential PD is separated into 2 areas and a common open space area. Area 1 is 11.4 acres, situated north of Hall Creek. Includes 8 townhouse buildings with a total of 37 units, 11 stacked flat buildings, including 114 units. And this area also features a brewery restaurant building. Variations from the general development plan include an increase of acres from 8.1 to 10 acres, a decrease in overall density from 11.4 to 9 dwelling units per acre, and fewer proposed stacked flat buildings with the total unit number remaining the same. Area 2 is 22.3 acres. It's situated south of Hall Creek and includes 8 buildings of lofts, including 600 units and 50,000 square feet of retail. Variations from the general development plan include an increase in acres from 14 to 22.3, and a decrease in building numbers from 9 to 8, and an increase in commercial square footage from 30,000 to 50,000 square foot. Common open space 1 includes 49.8 acres, an increase from the 42.9 proposed by the general development plan, and this includes lakes, greenway, and parks located along each side of Hall Creek. Proposed uses. The master development plan proposed a primary residential uses with a small amount being retail. It's less than 1%. The development is bisected by Hall Creek, with the heavier density being located on the southern side of the creek. North of Hall Creek in Area 1, a mix of townhomes and stacked flats are proposed. The 37 proposed townhomes are indicated as 3-story units, with the ground floor being a 2-car garage with a 2-story unit above. The buildings are proposed as alley load configuration, with buildings fronting on the sidewalk. Stacked flats are indicated as a 4-story alley load, with the ground floor housing a single-car garage for each unit. Brewery restaurant is proposed as part of development. Town of Arlington zoning ordinance indicates that commercial uses of up to 10% are allowed, but must meet the requirements of office or B1 neighborhood business. But as part of the allowances, as part of this PD, the applicant proposes allowances of uses in the SC, or shopping center commercial district, office, and B2 general business, which would allow for restaurants of this type. This allowance of these uses is compatible with the overall design of the plan development, as well as a whole, and the location of the restaurant brewery building is on the eastern side of the PD. It provides a separation from the existing residential uses. Area 2 residential uses include 8 buildings located on the southern side of Hall Creek, which 3 are indicated as containing retail on the ground floor with lofts above. The remaining buildings will feature amenities serving the lofts, as well as first-floor units. Buildings are indicated as 4-story and will house 600 lofts and a maximum non-residential of 50,000 square feet. A portion of the ground floor retail in these developments is typically, the development of this type typically include amenities that serve lofts above, such as gyms, meeting spaces, mail rooms, and leasing. The master development plan indicates that facing the ground floors of the 2 buildings facing the main square will house commercial and retail. The southwest corner of the easternmost building will also house a small section of commercial as well. Common open space 1, nearly 50 acres of active and passive green space is proposed, including uses such as disc golf, a dog park, and community gardens. Bulk regulations. Town of Arlington zoning ordinance regulates a maximum permitted gross density by conventional residential district, giving a maximum dwelling units per acre allowed in the PD. The request overlay of R multifamily breaks down by unit type. Applicable unit types to this proposal are townhouse units, which have a maximum density of 8 dwelling units per acre, and multifamily units with a max of 12 dwelling units per acre, and the density of this of this project break down as follows. The townhomes would be a maximum of, would be at 2.2 dwelling units per acre, stack flats at 1.4, lofts at 7.1 for a total density of 9 dwelling units per acre. The addition of acreage reduced the overall density of development to 9, which is lower than the 11.6 proposed by the general development plan. Deviations from bulk regulations may be allowed as long as the development provides tangible benefits to the community. Applicable RMF bulk regulations are listed below, with requested bulk regulations of the Hawthorne PD are listed with deviations in red. Green space and amenity. More than 50% of the property included will be utilized as green space. Floodway on either side of Hall Creek is proposed as green space and is included. Included in the area would be a walking trail, traversing areas bordering the creek. The existing bridge at Hall Creek will be refurbished, repurposed to use as a pedestrian crossing, and now with this new layout will also be a vehicle crossing as well. The vast green area provided along the creek is proposed to include disc golf and playgrounds. Several lakes are proposed, providing paddleboard recreation areas and amphitheater nearby. Each type of residential will provide village greens, which would incorporate green space directly adjacent to the residences. A community park and dog park are proposed as well. A large village green is proposed as a centerpiece of the higher density loft area, providing usable green space, jewel box retail, and central green for community gathering. Phasing, the applicant indicates that this project will be phased and that the phasing plan will be developed as use and intents are identified. As with all projects, public infrastructure will be required as part of the initial phase to the extent possible. Architectural design, Hawthorne has proposed a walkable development, so care must be taken in the design of the built environment to respond to human scale. Mixed-use buildings are depicted of a design that responds to human scale while using appropriate openings and features like awnings, placement, and sidewalk seating, creating a southern small-town downtown feel. Then the provided imagery does indicate a warm palette with quality design. Stack flats and townhomes indicated have a more residential form. Alley-low configuration is indicated with images indicating a green space with a stoop at front entry. Gable roofs with dormers and varying roof heights indicated on examples will be important to the overall look of the project. Applicant indicates a high-end final product. As such, materials and design should reflect this intent. Materiality is addressed in this document, including allowed and prohibited materials. This information, along with conceptual imagery, provides a strong basis for the overall design of the buildings to be constructed for the site. Staff is of the opinion that the material percentages should mimic what has been set forth by the Town of Arlington Design Guidelines. This concern was discussed with the applicant, and the original submittal was revised to be consistent with the Town of Arlington Design Guidelines. Site layout and access. So primary access is via Airline Road to realign Summers Road, which is proposed as a 2-lane street with a 47-foot right-of-way, including street, sidewalk, and curb and gutter. Street wraps around the townhouses and stack flats and cross Hall Creek, leading to the central commercial area of the development, where it will split into 2 one-way streets, leading to the primary access of the commercial plan development that's associated with this project. The layout provides a loop leading back to Airline Road. This, along with the layout of the road on the northwest corner, will deter traffic from continuing down Summers Road into the existing residential areas northwest of the development. Streets inside the townhouse and stack flat development are proposed as either 2-lane streets or alleys. 2-lane streets at some points will include either parallel or head-end parking. These improved streets will have a right-of-way of 47 to 60 feet depending on the layout, and alleys are proposed with a 20-foot right-of-way. Street and landscaping standards are set by the plan, with a landscaping standard set for each fronting condition. Proposed network of sidewalks and trails provide access through the site for pedestrians to the many outdoor amenities provided. Proposed streetscapes indicate ample sidewalk width along with outdoor furnishing and other pedestrian-friendly aspects. All right, traffic impact. Traffic impact study has been completed as part of this master development plan to determine what improvements will be needed to address any traffic issues that may arise from the development. Based on traffic concerns during the initial review of the traffic impact study, Hawthorne's traffic consultant, Kimley Horn, met with town staff to discuss revisions and an expansion of the traffic impact study to address these concerns. Specific concerns were addressed as outlined below. Concern number one was required street connections. So during the initial review, subdivision regulation requirement regarding street connection for residential subdivisions was applied. The conclusion was that a total of 30 street connections were required for full development. The third street connection was proposed to be via Will Harris Drive. Kimley Horn's updated traffic study, including modeling of traffic flows from Hawthorne based on a relocated and signalized Summers Road connection to Airline Road. In this scenario, with approximately 90% of Hawthorne traffic going to the Airline Summers Road intersection, the roadway network functioned at an acceptable level of service. The conclusion was that a significant portion of Hawthorne can be developed with only the relocated signalized Summers Road connection to Airline Road, while the third street connection between Summers Road and Will Harris should be part of the ultimate development plan for the area to provide greater connectivity and an alternate route. It can be built at a future date. The specific timing of this connection will likely be tied to the development of the properties between Summers Road and Will Harris Drive. Concern number two was I-40 and Airline Road interchange improvements. So the study is based on the assumption that the planned I-40 Airline Road interchange improvements are in place by the year 2030. Excuse me. Within the past few weeks, the town has been advised by TDOT that this project is a priority for the state, and anticipated schedule has moved up for construction by fiscal year 2027. If that schedule holds, the timing of the interchange improvements will closely parallel the development of Hawthorne, and the board should be aware that delays and congestion currently occur at Airline and I-40 interchange will continue to worsen until the interchange project is completed, which is estimated between 2028 and 2029. And increased congestion will occur even if Hawthorne development were not built, since all new development will contribute to increased traffic volumes. Concern number three was the addition of a traffic signal at Summers Road and Airline. So staff's concerns were that the proximity of the existing intersections between Summers and Airline and Will Harris and Airline would not allow for two signalized intersections this close together. The town's long-term plan has been to install a signal at Will Harris, particularly with the future road to Providence Place and the Baptist property east of Airline. So Kimley Horn updated their traffic projections based on the assumption that Baptist property was fully developed and that a portion of Providence Place traffic would go to Airline Road via Will Harris. And the initial modeling said both existing intersections being signalized, that there would be overlapping queuing at the intersections. Kimley Horn reevaluated the option and to relocate the intersection as far south as possible for a distance of approximately 720 feet. With the Summers Road relocated, the two signalized intersections did operate without interference. Issue number four, one issue that needs to be addressed will be negotiated between the town and the developer, is a question of shared financial responsibility for required road improvements. However, approval of the project with shared improvement costs between the developer and the town will place a financial burden on the town that may not have been anticipated nor budgeted. Further discussions will be required to define mutual responsibilities and schedules for construction of road improvements. And this is a map indicating the signal layout and the proposed new roads that will be associated with the further development of this area. Public sewer improvements. Developer will be required to install gravity sewer lines to serve the project and to extend the public sewer to the adjacent upstream properties where appropriate for future sewer extensions in accordance with town policy. Majority of development lies south of Hall Creek, so gravity sewer crossing of Hall Creek into the existing 30-inch interceptor sewer on the north side of the creek will be required. All improvements will be installed according to town regulations and specifications. Stormwater detention, development will be required to provide stormwater detention. Given the number and size of water features shown in the master development plan, meeting stormwater detention shouldn't be easily accomplished, and all improvements must be done to town regulations and specifications. PD objectives, the board and mayor of Alden may upon application grant approval for a plan development, overlay district or plan development, which through proper planning and design will ensure the following specific objective is benefiting the town, residents, and the developer. And I'm not going through them, all objectives have been met. The next steps would be to be approved by the BMA. If approved by the BMA, the applicant would submit construction and site plans for each phase to the Planning Commission for approval. The Planning Commission recommended approval at its April 15th, 2024 meeting. Staff does concur with this recommendation as the proposed master development plans meets conditions levied on the general development plan as well as all town of Arlington's requirements for approval. This concludes my presentation on this. We do have the developers here for any questions, and a public hearing is required.
You've heard the recommendation by Mr. Crater. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Brooks.
Second.
Second by Mr. McKee, I was about to say. Do we want to go ahead and suspend this item and make a motion by Mr. Biggs, second by Vice Mayor McKee? We are now in the public hearing for Resolution 2024-20 to approve the Plan Development Master Plan for Hawthorne PD. This was published in the Daily Memphian. If anyone is here to speak on this particular topic, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. We've got one person, okay, yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Board of Aldermen, Tom Jones, 11585 Joshua Oak in the Snyder's Grove neighborhood. Sir, would you go to the slide right before the sewage part? One of the things that I want to bring up is I'm neither for nor against the development. However, being a resident in that neighborhood and the traffic plan that was done, one of the things that I want to point out is John Elk is the shortest distance between two lines when it comes to this area, and it goes directly through this neighborhood. Now, what we already have is we have a 30-mile-an-hour road on Milton Wilson that is driven on average about 50 miles an hour as people are either heading to the middle school, to the sports complex, anywhere else west of the town. We have a 20-mile-an-hour road, very congested right here, that this is going to become an egress for this entire development, even though we have this here proposed. So what I'd like to bring to the attention is, and ask the question of, is one, was Snyder Grove considered as part of that traffic plan? And two, is there something that we can do to look at in terms of traffic monitoring, speed bumps for the neighborhood, or anything like that? Because we already have an issue with traffic that uses this both as a route through, as a shortcut, both ways. And so that's the issue that I want to bring up, and I appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, public comments for this particular item? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing and resume the item? Motion by Vice Mayor McKee, second by Mr. Biggs. We are back on the main motion. Mr. Patterson, is this when I need to read this in right now? Okay, I just want to make sure. We had some last-minute conditions put on the project, so they weren't able to kind of get in here on the slide, so I got to read them into the record. So bear with me a minute. We have our standard conditions at the Planning Commission level that they're S1 through S6. We have those, but we have a couple project-specific conditions. So I'm going to read these into the record. We have P3. The MDP includes elements of the development, lakes, and buildings at the northeast corner that are located within the floodway of Hall Creek. Construction within the floodway is not allowed. The layout of the development shown in the NDP is based on the developer completing a revised FEMA floodplain study for Hall Creek, approved and adopted by FEMA, that modifies floodway boundaries through the project. P4, the master development plan should be modified to reflect the following. A, the Summers Road intersection at Airline will be relocated as far south as possible, given the limitations of topography and the proximity of the Hall Creek Bridge, but at a minimum of 720 feet from Will Harris Drive. B, the layout, configuration, and alignment of Hawthorne Boulevard East and Summers Road intersection will be adjusted to reflect the relocated Summers Road and Airline intersection. P5, the project shall make provisions for north-south connection between Summers Road and Will Harris Drive. Specific alignment, location, and design details of this connection will be determined later and approved by the town. P6, The relocated signalized intersection of Summers Road and Airline must be completed and operational concurrent with the completion of Area 1 of the Hawthorne PDR development north of Hall Creek. The design and construction of the intersection and traffic signals shall be done in accordance with the standards to be defined by the town. Traffic signal projects typically require 2 to 3 years for design, right-of-way acquisition, bidding, and construction. The timing of Area 1 of the Hawthorne development and the intersection of the project must be properly coordinated to meet this schedule. And this is where I need my glasses because somebody hand wrote something in here, so hang on. Nothing in this condition shall prevent continued construction in other areas prior to the installation of the subject traffic signal. However, no certificate of occupancy shall be issued in any area other than Area 1 prior to the installation of the subject traffic signal. And then P8, the town of Arlington quitclaims any interest it may have in the abandoned roadbed, formerly known as Old Airline Road, located on the property that is subject to this MDP, excuse me. Did I not? Oh, I missed 7, I'm sorry, because I had to skip down, and that's where the hand, sorry. P7, before that, a cost-sharing arrangement related to off-site public infrastructure will need to be negotiated between the town and the developer prior to the approval of construction plans for the first phase of Hawthorne. Those are additional conditions that were set between planning.
Thank you. And if I may, all of those are what was included in the staff report. What was taken out was P1 and P2, as those have already been complied with. Quit claiming, there's an old abandoned road bed that exists on the property. It's the old bridge. I think they're planning to convert to a pedestrian bridge. In any event, in looking at the public records, that has been abandoned long ago. We couldn't find anything that the town had any interest in it, even prior to the abandonment. But nonetheless, it was creating some issues for the applicant with respect to their title insurance company. And so they were looking for some sort of vague quit claim language. Again, we're giving up something that we don't have, but in order to pacify that, then the staff report says 730 feet. The mayor changed that 720 feet. And then with respect to the timing of the signal that was part of P6, they were concerned about continuing, the way it's currently worded, continuing construction in other areas, other phases, while waiting on traffic signal components. As Mr. Hill appropriately noted, there's a long lead time on all of those, from the design to the ordering it, even if it's delivered on time. If you started right now, you're talking anywhere from 2 to 3 years before the type of signal that the town is going to require. I mean, you could get some wood poles and a span wire and put it up pretty quickly. We did just down the road for the Chick-fil-A. But in order to put in the permanent one, you're talking quite a while in order to get those components in. And so they didn't want to stop construction with the subsequent phases, subsequent areas. So we put in that extra language to make sure they could still do it, but before we're issuing certificates of occupancy and dumping additional traffic in those other areas, we want to make sure that the signal is actually installed at that new realigned location. So happy to answer any additional questions, but those are again, the conditions that were already included in the staff report with that one change with respect to the quitclaim language, and then the timing of ongoing construction relative to the new signalized intersection.
Mr. Wiseman, you had a question?
Subject to phase 1. Phase
Area,
1.
well, the phasing hasn't been done yet, but area 1.
Area 1, okay, that's what I meant. So
correct.
Subject to only 1.
So they're going to, yeah,
infrastructure is going to take years, so I mean.
Correct.
I'm in no, I know it's not going to happen in 6 months. I just.
No wonder it never changes.
He's pointing at the door.
I'd be just as well pointed at my face, probably. All right, so here, this is kind of.
Yes, that show, there he goes.
Where your townhouses and stack flats are going to be, in area 2 is going to be your more dense area. So basically what they're saying is, before we give occupancy on area 2, which most of your traffic
Lights gotta be in.
Correct.
But construction can be ongoing.
Right,
Yeah.
right, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's the only thing it does, is it clarifies that they can continue construction. I think that's what was intended anyway, but just for the additional clarification that they're going to continue construction. But again, we're not going to issue certificates of occupancy, put additional traffic on there until that new realigned intersection is signalized.
So you're talking about that signalized by who? Because that's kind of a little gray area, who pays for what? It's,
Ultimately, that signal there is going to be a required improvement by the developer.
okay,
As we get out into other improvements associated with the growth of this project, then at that point it becomes, you know,
That's the further
schedule is
negotiation
more
he's
of
referring to.
the extended growth of the roadway system to support all of this as it goes out. That's not, that's not contemplated as part of this additional phase, just because it's not going to be necessary right away. It's several 10 years out. But it's ultimately has to be planned as far as, that's what the condition, that's what Steve's concerns were as far as those negotiations, as far as how those are funded.
and we might not be here, so you never know, okay.
That all comes in with site plan.
To the developer's credit, they've said at numerous meetings we've had, they need this to work for their project to work. So it's a win-win for everybody if we can come to agreement, so.
I talked to Steve about on this last week at length, and he, we like him to be on the conservative side, we know that, and he was very much liking this plan better than what we had seen before.
I have a question about that, because at the planning.
Will you speak in the microphone a little? You're speaking kind of quiet.
At the planning commission, that was one of Steve's concerns, was the distance between Will Harris and Summers Road. So this is gonna move that south.
Yes.
But there's also gonna be a light at the intersection.
So basically.
Can you go to that slide, please? Because I think there was, to the gentleman in the public hearing, and a comment or a call that I had today from Mr. Reese that's called, I think, staff several times, and myself, and our concerns are similar, the same.
Can I do it for you?
A lot of slides in between.
I think in short, though, the relocation of it that far south alleviated concern about
So it's
having
gonna be right
just
next to the
two
bridge.
traffic signals there.
Well, I'm trying to understand.
That property right there that,
Yeah, I mean, they know that
The
there's,
distance between Will Harris and the Summers Road has to be 720 feet.
Minimal.
So that, minimum, so that we don't get the backed up traffic, but like what they have at Poplar. Where you
So it'd be
got-
720 feet from the intersection of the light that's not there yet.
Of Will Harris.
Of Will
Between,
Harris.
between Summers Road and Harris Road.
So basically, what you end up with, Jeremy, is you end up with a signal here and a signal here, but those are spaced in a way that.
Right, so, I understand that, because that was his concern, that those were too close together, and that we would be backing up traffic in between the lights, where you get a green light, but you can't go because the light in front of you, people are still stopped. My question is, so now we're moving it south, but how close is that light to what we anticipate to be a light at the intersection? I'm assuming it's greater than 720.
We have Kimley Horn.
Kimley Warren has a representative here, he could better explain to you about it, I can't say he's a traffic engineer.
Mike Cookie, Kimley Horn, 6750 Pop Avenue. And so, you're talking about the light at Summer Road and the one at the interchange?
Yes.
So that is also included in our study. And
That's not a stoplight, that's.
It was around 1200, it was around.
It will be a stoplight. It will be.
Will be a stoplight.
Okay.
right, so, and another thing that was included in our study, and it's our recommendation, Mr. Hill's recommendation, and it can't work without it, is that along with the signal at Arlington Trail, there will need to be a coordinated signal system from Milton Wilson to Arlington Trail, so that, Pop Avenue may not be the best example.
No.
But, so that they can all be
staggered to where when somebody gets green, they get to keep going.
And my understanding, the way they stagger those would be different times of the day too, because you got schools you're dealing with and you got schools you're not dealing with, so it'll be changing like it is now.
Typically, what you can see is AM, midday, or a school peak hour and PM, but those can be added, deleted, modified, however, based on, you can do it for 4th of July parade, just a certain one day of the year if you wanted to.
Well, and just kind of generic knowledge. So the one at Summers Road, that traffic light, we've tried to keep everybody in the area informed, so we met with Baptist just to let them know kind of what this plan could look like. And considering they have 85 acres there, and they plan on using some for their stuff and some for commercial at some point, that could become, if, depending on the type of development they do, it could give another means of entrance and egress there that may be beneficial in the future. It depends on how it all lines up. I mean, they still would have to jump a creek, but it does provide more than one entrance into that large 85 acres. So, because here's the thing, and if Baptist came to us in 10, 15 years and said, hey, we're doing all this, and we're like, oh gosh, we got to do something. And this kind of helps some long-term future possibly. Questions, traffic, I mean, and as far as, I know the comment about the John Oak, I know you can see, can you kind of, I know the concerns, that's the conversation we've had about John Oak and the traffic calming we put there. I know there's the assumed road that is going to be put in behind Will Harris, going up to Will Harris, but there are other parts of this project and other projects that it's kind of hard to comment on all that right now because it takes several things coming together. But during the duration of this 3, 5, 7-year plan, I think it'll all come together as it comes together. But to the concerns of John Oak, I mean, John Oak has never been considered. It is a public road and it's considered a means of entrance and egress. But I don't think for the sake of this project that it's the ideal entrance and exit for most of these people in here, even with the way that little turn is going to be or way it's going to push, especially with the traffic and signalization out there and the other things that will happen. So we understand the concerns. We've had so many conversations about that, and we know the issues with that road. We know there's issues with parking on the street that makes the road even more narrow. We're looking at some things. Staff and engineer have been looking at some things that we can do to try to help alleviate some of that. I can't really comment on it right now because they don't have a recommendation. If I say it now, it becomes the word, and you said that, and I don't want to say that without our engineer and city manager here. But anyway, it is a constant part of the conversation, same as some of the drainage over there. I mean, there's lots of things that are parts of this all conversation. But A has to happen before B happens and C happens, so.
Mr. Mayor, if I may also.
Yeah.
What we need to remember is that this is not just gonna drop out of the sky tomorrow. This is a project that's gonna take years to develop out. So ultimately, the infrastructure is gonna develop ahead of the build out, but it'll develop in a way to where it all makes sense and traffic will move according to the needs of the development. Because, if this just all popped up in one day, we have major problems. But the thing to remember, this is gonna build out over years. So that way, traffic gets used to moving in this configuration and using alternate routes and doing all of, and working that way. So ultimately, that's really important to remember that it's just not gonna happen fast.
Well, and to that same point, the conversation I had today, someone said, well, we're going to have 600 or 800 cars leaving all at once to go to work in the morning. And I tried to explain, we have White Oak, which has is going to have 500-something homes in it, and it's connected to Windsor Place, and it's going to 700, whatever, and you're going to have, Windsor Place at Stubb Street's connected to it, and I was just trying to relate to that. Those are multifamily homes with 2 to 4 cars per household, and it's not everybody's leaving at the same time. So sometimes it sounds, it's the scary part of saying everybody's gonna leave at once, but it's not. So that's what I hated to try to debate that with the person. I was trying to give an example of every subdivision. I mean, you can take all those homes in some of these houses right now, and you're gonna have some times where you're backed up a little bit, but it's not all gonna happen at once. And if we do our jobs, with the signalization and the road widenings and the traffic flow, then it should be somewhat fluid.
But there's some other things down the road that's gonna happen. too.
Yeah, and there's other things that, like I said, it's hard to comment on some now because we can't comment because things haven't happened. But, and as we all know, especially in government and development, things take longer and, market dictated and.
Well, I don't know if this is an appropriate time to ask it, but during the, when we had the first approval, on one of the lofts, it was gonna be designated for 55 and over restricted. I don't see anything, wording anywhere in there now.
No, not on this project, there was none.
I don't recall us doing.
You wasn't here then.
Not but I read everything.
Yeah, but it was, it
Restrict,
was
I
actually the
thought
one
we,
that was gonna be over the water.
yeah, but I don't think we've ever done anything restricted. I thought we were told, and not, especially not on this, but I'm saying, I thought restricted and targeted,
It
targeted was
wasn't
different.
targeted, it was restricted.
But I don't
He
think-
agreed to it that night. Dave, what's his name? The owner?
The applicant, Chris
Applicant's
Rudd,
here.
Chris Rudd and Kirsten are both here, but, no, sir, that's never been part of this. There was some question about it, I believe you raised, and then there was some discussion of, restricted, targeted.
It wasn't nothing targeted, it was restricted.
I'm saying it was, the question was
We
raised.
did
and there was
explain each
discussion.
one of them.
Yeah, but no, there was never a condition placed on the first approval for any of these units.
Questions or comments?
I want to ask, so John Oak is where are you? Okay.
And the only, right here between Joshua Oak and John Oak is a four-way stop sign that is rarely used. If that makes sense.
People run it.
Yeah, people just run it.
Yeah.
Like all the others.
Now, where I live, just for reference, because it is on record, is this house right here.
The corner lot?
Not in the corner, no, in the middle, right here.
Okay.
Sturdy,
So what
very
we're
steady
seeing,
hands.
I do appreciate the comments and concerns that this will take a while, this is a multi kind of deal. But there's a lot of other things that are going on, and living here, I do see the traffic come through. And I do see what happens back here quite a bit.
So,
Yes.
but most of your traffic it's your own traffic, it's internal, right? It's coming from,
Well, we have construction traffic
Right.
going on here with this new development. This is where they come through. You may have, up here, you have a lot of school traffic that'll come through. We have a lot of kids when they're coming home from the day. Instead of going up and to your left, they're gonna cut through the neighborhood.
Well, no offense. We usually don't let, once you give your comments, we don't, I know that was his fault. He knows better. He knows better, but, yeah, okay, all right. He knows. But I was giving you a chance, but I just,
Look, your 3 minutes is up.
okay.
Right now, those traffic lights aren't there. All right? Those traffic lights on Airline aren't there. So the people who live in the future are gonna live there, let's say they're going to Kroger. Which way are you going? Are you going to Airline to stop and have to wait through all these traffic lights? Or are you cutting through that neighborhood?
All these, there's one right now. Will Harris wouldn't happen, correct, Jeremy, for quite some time until
I'm sure they're going
development
through 20
dictated it.
mile an hour.
Until there was a road or a connection. Yeah, so you're talking one light
No, I'm
to
talking
go to
about the
Kroger.
future.
No, I'm saying, right now, one light, we don't know what, and if it's,
Will Harris could be there
you're talking,
20 years down the road, that was it.
but you're still gonna be waiting at least one, so say there's two lights, and you're gonna wait at least at one light at Milton Wilson and Airline.
You're gonna be there anyway.
So there's one there, and you don't know, I can't say that, I don't know what John Oak or anything's gonna look like, if there will be traffic calming put in someplace that people avoid, kinda like we did at that's what I don't know.
Is that, I think when he talked about, speed bumps, whatever, I'm not sure speed bumps would be the answer, but as we go through this process, if we do see that there is an issue with people taking the shortcut going through there, then at that time, we could still make changes, we could still react for them. to do some type of traffic calming in there.
Well, I think we all know, as a town, we look at what's best for citizens, the town. I mean, just like we just had to do at Forest Park, you know? we don't go around and place speed bumps. We get our engineer to look at something, we do traffic counts, we find ways to calm it, or,
Know what you don't know.
And I would also say that,
Back and make that developer put speed bumps in that neighborhood though. Did I hear that right?
for them to do it? No, that would be,
They can't do that.
no.
but I would also say that right now, people go where the path of least resistance is, right? Just like water, everything else, right? Right now, there's very little resistance on Summers Road to come in that way. We've seen kids and four-wheelers running 60 down that road, all those things. We've had accidents down there. As this development will create some resistance as traffic increases there, where I think you will have, it won't be such an easy place for people just to turn around and run in and out of and run up John Oak and make those routes. I think that's what the traffic study is showing, that actually by having more people in that area actually should, hopefully, all this stuff goes off on their expertise, but right now, because there's a lack of traffic in there in some of those areas, people are going all out in their vehicles. And we see it in different parts of town where there's not really people living or not many houses or whatever, and people will roll 60, 70 miles an hour somewhere. But once you start having some people congregating and things like that, things tend to calm down in some of those areas. So, I hope that that's what our traffic studies are reinforcing and showing us this as well, is that it becomes a path of less resistance or more resistance, so people do start to abide by the speed limit signs and things like that.
That's great. And also, just some more minor things to kind of go along with that point, like with the realignment of Summers Road at the west end, just to make it just as inconvenient as possible for that to occur. And I'm not gonna sit there and say there will be 0 people from Hawthorne, but every intention is being taken to make sure that that's as little as possible.
So when you put a crook in it like that, you're taking out the straightaway. Is that what?
Talking about right down there by the lake on the other side, yeah.
Yeah.
You'll also be dealing with the stop sign, the intersection that's not, just the shape of the intersection is gonna wanna push you down that improved road back.
Right.
Is that, it's kind of hard to tell, I know it's still yet to be officially designed, but is that similar to what a roundabout does, but it's got to stop? Because it looks, I can't tell with the V, is it straight, or is there?
That one would be just a regular stop intersection.
Okay.
But both with the addition of stop control and the realignment of it to where it's not just
Straight away.
Right now, if you just come down Summers Road, you just go straight down and on the John Oak. But now it's a lot more circuitous and inconvenient.
Put another one in there.
All right, other questions, comments? We got the traffic guru up here. I know that's probably one of the, I'm not saying the largest concerns, but one of the major concerns about this. As far as, is there anything else right now for traffic? I think the conversations between Steve and Kimberly Horn and the developers and Jeremy and everybody that's been involved have been productive, and I think it's still kind of hard to picture it, but we know how conservative, like to hear what Harry said, how conservative Steve is, and if Steve's on board, then he's never really tried to steer us wrong on anything, so.
Looks like we may have to have a magic wand to make it work then.
I can get one.
We need it.
Well, again, there's always parts of projects that change and evolve, and some are set in stone. So we've seen it on every project we've done, I think, every big project.
I have to agree with what Jeff said. I think when you build it, you slow down the appeal. I mean, the appeal of running up and down that road now is, there's nobody on that road. There's no law enforcement out there half the time. Sure, I'm gonna fly down that road and just cut up John up and get out of the way. You build it out, that's gonna stop. Of course, traffic's gonna increase, but the craziness that you're talking about will slow down. It'll be locals moving in and out instead of cut-throughs. The same cut-throughs that come by up John Oak, come racing by my house and fly through the three-way stop like it ain't even there, right across from the schoolyard. So I see what you're talking about, but the building will slow down, because a lot of what happened around my house slowed down when the development was built in behind it. So it will slow down.
Going on over, well, I live on Pinkley, the half-mile drag strip. And it was where everybody raced, and it is actually, as houses are building, it has slowly gone away. You get some every now and then, but,
I know it's hard to find a place now.
yeah, we can't get there. There's a bridge out right now. That was our traffic calming. Any other questions and I mean, this is more than just the traffic. I mean, it's the master development plan. Are there any other questions?
I actually think it's gonna be a great project if it gets done, when it gets done. It's a long time down the road.
Chris, I mean, I know you're always gonna be quiet and not say anything unless asked. That's the smart thing to do. But I mean, do you have anything that you want to add or anything in there?
We're excited to get started. We have, in spite of the fact that you only see a few of us here, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but we are very excited to launch. Permitted, and we'll be proceeding immediately. We are. For that, I think it's going to be a great. The engagement that we've had. And then we collected man hours and spent on that subject a lot. And I think as we go. That's happened through and through, and there have been some adjustments and some decreases to kind of ultimately, we're very excited. We appreciate all your efforts, and permits and all of those types of things. So
I'm a little nervous that it's so many apartments and but, you guys have a good reputation, quality, DRC, and so I'm putting my trust that it's going to be done at a high quality and it's going to be done right. I hope it's successful.
we believe it will. Those discussions just, don't want to.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Rudd? All right, any more questions for staff? Seeing none. All in favor of item A, because we're going to go through this again on item B here in a second, but item A, all in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, that item passed.
Can we say,
What?
Jeremy,
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
We're gonna short this one.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you going to be able to ditto?
And I got one,
About the overview of the first one.
Okay.
I've
All
got
right.
one more thing to say.
What?
Will is not getting paid for sitting through the school board presentation.
You're gonna bill ACS? All right. Hey, so we are now on item B, Resolution 2024-21, to approve a plan development master plan for Hawthorne PD, commercial PD on 25.1 acres north of 40 south of Summers Road, west of Airline Road. We do have a public hearing on this. Mr. Crater.
Background of this one is the same as the previous one, so we'll skip that.
That should all be noted for the record. It's all in the records.
The PowerPoint will be entered into the record as part of the record. The proposal for the commercial side of this overall development contains 25.1 acres, which is a decrease from the 26.5 acres proposed by the general development plan. The proposed development consists of 4 commercial retail buildings, 3 commercial office and light industrial buildings, and 2 hotels. The master development plan proposes an increase from 2 to 3 hotels from the
You've heard the recommendation by Mr. Crater. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Biggs. We do have a public hearing on this. Do I have a motion to suspend this item? Motion by Vice Mayor McKee, second by Mr. Biggs. We are now on the on the public hearing for Resolution 2024-21 to approve the Plan Development Master Plan for Hawthorne PD, Commercial PD on 25.1 acres. This was advertised. If anyone is wanting to come forward and speak on this particular request, you can come forward and state your name and address for the record. Anyone here to speak on this one? You're more than welcome if you want to get up and say it, or we can say it's your right. It's a public hearing. All right. Any other comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the hearing and resume the meeting? Motion by Mr. Key, second by Mr. Biggs. Back on the main motion. I've got to do so. Bear with me. I got Exhibit A again here, and I have to read this verbatim. Sorry. So P1 and P2 have been removed. So P3 is the master development plan should be modified to reflect the following. I'll put my glasses on so I don't have to worry about. The Summers Road intersection at Airline Road will be relocated as far south as possible, given the limitations of topography and the proximity of the Hall Creek Bridge, but a minimum of 720 feet from Will Harris Drive. The layout, configuration, and alignment of Hawthorne Boulevard East and Summers Road intersection will be adjusted to reflect the relocated Summers Road and Airline Road intersection. P4. The project shall make provisions for a north-south connector between Summers Road and Will Harris Drive. Specific alignment, location, and design details of this connection will be determined later and approved by the town. P5, the relocated signalized intersection of Summers Road and Airline must be completed and operational concurrent with completion of Area 1 of Hawthorne PDR development north of Hall Creek. The design and construction of the intersection and traffic signals shall be done in accordance with standards to be defined by the town. Traffic signal projects typically require 2 to 3 years for design, right-of-way acquisition, bidding, and construction. The timing of Area 1 of Hawthorne development and the intersection project must be properly coordinated to meet this schedule. And this is going to include, I got to read that language back in there. I'll put that one up. I thought I just got to say it, but nothing in this condition shall prevent continued construction in other areas prior to the installation of the subject traffic signal. However, no certificate of occupancy shall be issued in any area other than Area 1 prior to the installation of the subject traffic signal. P6. A cost-sharing arrangement related to the off-site public infrastructure will need to be negotiated between the town and the developer prior to the approval of construction plans for the first phase of Hawthorne. P7, same language as the PDR, or do I have to write? So P7 is the PDR condition. So I'm confused. The PDR is P8 on the other one? Because you didn't. Okay, all right. So P7 is the town of Arlington quit claims any interest it may have in the abandoned roadbed, formerly known as Old Airline Road, located on the property that is subject to this MDP. Does that meet the? That's it, and also include the standard conditions. Yes, the standard condition. I'm sorry, the standard conditions that are S1 through S6, all in Exhibit A. I have both exhibits that I will give back to staff so they can.
I got lost. Can you do all that again?
No. So, all right. So those conditions are in there. Questions, comments for staff? Okay, good. Is Mr. Patterson?
The only thing I would add, that the only difference between the conditions is the FEMA and flood laser.
Questions, comments? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Any other new business, Mrs. Owens? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the bills for payment?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Brooks. Any objection to paying the bills? Seeing none, that item passes. Any other announcements before we adjourn? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Harmon. Any objection? Seeing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you all for being here. Yes, I know you do. Yeah, I saw somebody posted it. No, I saw the pictures, yes. I saw. Mr. Burton.